Welcome to Hidden History of Rock and Roll with your host, Tiffany Scott. You can follow us on Facebook and Instagram at Hidden History of Rock and Roll.
Hello and welcome to Hidden History of Rock and Roll.
Yes, we're here, aren't we?
I am Tiffany Scott, your host, and we are at the 10th Annual Music Industry Reunion in Calabasas, California.
I think I've made the 4.
I am here with the great Paul Lobster Wells, and he's going to tell us a story.
Lobster's an accident, by the way.
Oh.
Kind of crawled in my craw.
Well, tell us.
But, well, it was the name of a van a friend of mine came up with on a tape that we were listening to Robin Trower. And long story short, he had this vision of a lobster who was turning dials and pushing buttons while music was playing.
Oh, right.
And suggested we name the van after the poem, The Mighty Lobster. And it was a blue van. So I named my radio show after that, and then it became my name on rock radio.
History was written.
I'm the kid on the air staff at a station in San Jose. I've worked a couple of stations in LA, several stations in San Francisco, San Jose, and I'm on 97.7 The River, classic rock for the North Bay. And I do Lobster Sunday Brunch, and I've been doing that for 17 years now, which to me is mind-boggling because I've never had a gig last that long.
That is incredible.
And so I was at KSJO, and it went top 40. And I get called in, and I was telling Dana Jang, who I worked with there, and then we both work at KOME, and then I went back to KSJO. But before I went back, so I'm the kid on the air staff, and new owners come in, and they have a group PD. And I knew we were in trouble when he went over to the record library, and I happened to be in the building at the time. He walked over to the albums, and he said, in this voice, "Where are the Three Dog Night records?" And I went, in my mind, I'm going, I just said to him, well, I don't get much call for that. His name was Bo Donovan. And so he did turn the station top 40. I even had a dream where I was hovering close to the ceiling, and the studio was all different, which they did change it around.
Oh my God.
And there was screaming DJs and jingles. And so he fired the program director the same day he calls me in, and I go, okay, great. Calls me in his office, and he goes, Paul, I'm going to have to let you go. And I said, and I'm not kidding, okay, deliberately, because I'm from the Bronx, right? Don't F with me.
You can say that on here because
I know.
We are explicit.
But I'm still a radio guy, so I edit.
Censor yourself.
So I put on this goofy kid face.
Oh, my God.
Tilted my head just so, I don't understand. I said, with a smile, "Go where, Bo?" And he started to do exactly what I wanted to do, which was sweat.
Good.
And he started to make a list of what it meant.
Right.
Your services are no longer required, blah, blah, blah. And he went all through, and I said, what about the restaurant reviews? Because I was doing restaurant reviews once a week. We'll keep those. That was a lie. Again, let me remind you, from the Bronx.
Right,
okay?
right. Nobody messes with anybody from the Bronx.
I joined and had an affidavit, and Dana reminded me when we did a license challenge. That same company later on hires guys from Sacramento. I'm at KOME. I was having ratings that were so good it was like somebody handed me the diaries and said, here, you fill them out. You fill out, what numbers would you like? Could I have a majority cum of men 18 to 24 the target demo? Done.
Done. That's
Could I have
hysterical.
an 18 share of audience 18 plus? Yes. Okay.
Done.
Yeah, well, I would have never, ever thought. So my phone rings the day that the book comes out. And I get an offer I can't refuse. I even tell the general manager at KOME, I'm getting offers. What do I do with one you can't refuse? And he said, well, what do you do with an offer you can't refuse? I accept it. I had a contract. It was the only FM rock DJ in San Jose that had any kind of contract at all.
Oh.
Signed the contract on a Friday, finished my show at midnight on Friday night at KOME. Only said on Monday, the price of lobster goes down 5.3 points. which was the difference between 98.5 and 92.3.
Right.
I went on the air that Monday and never looked back. It was July 4th weekend, bicentennial. So it was my blow for freedom for all the DJs that work with me. And I opened it up, and my jukebox jury, my research was my air staff.
Uh-huh.
And we had them in the office, and guess what office I had? The same office I had been fired out of.
Oh, no.
As the kid on the air staff.
Oh, my God.
And so, yes.
That was redeeming.
It was a lot.
A lot.
And we did do a ratings turnaround because I had helped build what KOME was at that point, and I knew where the house of cards had the card you could pull. I could play Jingo with the radio station, and we did. We out-rocked them.
That's great.
But this is about being in the right place at the right time.
Right.
Because before anybody else played them, we played Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers.
The best.
And also the Police and AC/DC as an import. And I have to credit Ron Midag because he was the local rep for the record company at the time.
Right.
And I also knew him because he worked at KSAN. But they weren't on the record, really. They were punked out at the time. And John, your dad, he's the reason Tom had a career nationally, because he saw the two places, and there was someone from the Bay Area, BCN. So they were doing BCN. We broke the police with them and another artist. But it was a matter of being the right place at the right time.
Yeah.
So
always.
Ron goes, "Can we bring this guy, Tom Petty, by for an interview?" I said, "Sure." I was on 6 to 10, and between the soundtrack and the show, he came by. And Tom is sitting like we are sitting invisibly now for anybody who's listening.
Right.
We are sitting right across the table from each other.
Right.
So we were this close. And the eye contact with Tom, as you know, was phenomenal.
Right.
And we had
very engaging.
A 6-month difference in our birthdays.
Oh.
And our reference points in music, and our being the kid in the back seat of the car while the radio was playing top 40.
Right.
So we grew up on the same stuff.
Right.
And we also had a similar idea about music and things. That night, I went with my business partner, and we went to the show because Ron said, well, they're going on after Greg Kihn instead of the next night in Berkeley, where Greg Kihn was a big deal because Berkeley Records. I went, and I saw Five Fingers about to make a fist.
No.
I saw this band. And to me, right then, I thought, this is the American Rolling Stones. Nobody knows it yet.
Oh, my gosh.
And me and my partner, Hal, in my company, Flow Communications, went to the hotel. Now, for reference for Tom Petty, everybody thinks like Tom Petty, a big star, the entire band, plus Bugs, Alan Weidel, who was their one roadie.
Yes.
The entire band was in 2 rooms on the second floor of the Travelodge on El Camino in Palo Alto because they were playing the Keystone Palo Alto.
Oh, my God.
We sent Alan and Hal out to get something from Jack in the Box so we could eat. We stayed up all night long.
Oh, my God.
And just chatted. And then out on the balcony, Tom, what a joker he was. I mean,
yes.
Inside, when the food was delivered, they had milk, and he sat there, and the commercial for milk was, "After a long day of rocking, I have some milk," So that was their thing, about
he was
the drinking
so
milk.
funny.
Oh, he was a wit. He was, just
quick-witted,
very smart, and probably was an outcast in Gainesville in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
And his fun was right there.
Yeah.
And we're standing out on the balcony, and he's having a smoke, and we're standing there, and he looks at me, and he goes, "Where's the girls? Where's the groupies? Where's the party? Where's the drugs?" And I put my hand on his shoulder. I reached out and I said, "Patience, Tom, patience."
It'll come.
And then we just started to play them
right,
like they were what they were going to be,
right,
because we already felt that way. So the hidden story about rock and roll is the last DJ, yes, give a lot of credit to Jim Ladd, but as Tony Demetriadis once told me, we had to say it's about Jim,
right,
because we need him,
right.
And I said, I understand, I'm just doing a weekly show at this point,
right,
because If I have Tom say yes to doing an interview with you, then there's a whole bunch of things Tom will say no to.
Right. And it's also like he was the voice for everybody.
Yes.
Jim. He embodied every DJ.
Yes. And there was Redbeard. Mm-hmm. There was Kid Leo. Mm-hmm. And I was in this. I don't want to call it a fraternity because it's so sexist. No. But in a way, fraternity, sorority, but it was a brotherhood. Yeah. And it was a club. Mm-hmm. And we were the club of DJs that could actually say, I like this enough. And I'd let my air staff decide with me. Right. And that if they wanted free records, they had to take one home to review. Trust me, at a young age, my dad employed me to review records. And then I would go, okay, I'm not sure about this record, but if the cowboy and the space cadet and the MOR guy all like this record, I'm going to add it. I don't care what it is. That's awesome. So we did a lot of that, and it was not following, it was leading. Right. But a lot of people don't know that about radio, and they might read Tom Petty and Me, and it's a great read. Yeah. And the other part of it is it's all true. You're right. And it's an easy read, and it's fun. And Tommy was like that. Yeah. He was really easy to be around. And I've read the biography, but I knew Tom enough to know what a gift he knew he had and how dedicated he was, because he knew that it was really painful. Yeah. On that last tour, but he kept doing it. He just wanted to be there for the fans. Yes. Yeah. And he shared that philosophy with Johnny Cash. Oh, yeah. And Dean shared that with me. Wow. Because Dean was someone I knew from the Redwoods in the Bay Area before he ever worked with Tom Petty and worked with Tony and everybody. And what a great crew. But everybody thinks like you don't start out as a rock star. Right. So one of the hidden stories of rock is the dues that you pay. Right. And anybody who knows what a Travelodge is like, that wasn't the last time I hung out with Tom Petty at a Travelodge. I can only imagine. It took a while for the rest of the country. And it took your dad showing up there and going, what's this closet full of records doing? Right. Why isn't anybody doing anything with these records? And he looked at the cover and didn't get the reaction a lot of people got, which is, this is a punk record. He did not see that or hear that. It wasn't there. Right. It was because of the bandolero and just the wise guy look that Tom had on his face. I didn't see that even as a kid. Yeah, but what is a punk? Rocker. It's a rock. Hello. I know. Anything that's rock and roll is one of my favorite songs on the album. Best. That is the best song. Tiffany, thank you for having me as a guest. Thank you for being my first. Am I? Yeah, you're my first guest tonight. Here at the Hidden History of Rock and Roll, live from the Music Industry Reunion. Did I say that right? You did. And it's the 10th annual. 10th annual. And it's a lot of fun to come here, even though I had a whole bunch happening in the Bay Area. Neil Young playing Shoreline Friday. Comedy Day in Golden Gate Park is on Sunday. Wow. And my friend who is one of my 3 ex-fiancés' 65th birthday is on, and she's surprised she was a punk. Like any punk would be, that she made it to 65. Right. I made sure she had a card, a candle, and the chocolate cake she asked me to bring her. That's nice. So at least she'll have that. Well, it sounds like you have a lot more stories to tell, and maybe we could revisit this another time. I would be happy, because every time I think of a story, I go, okay. Yeah. And so, am I writing this one story at a time? Right. But there's stuff that people wouldn't believe that you go through just to do anything with music. It's insane. And right now, I'm going to go say hello to a lot of people I haven't seen in a long time. Enjoy, and send people my way. I'll do that. Thank you. And thanks for letting me wear headphones, because I'm so much more, I can hear myself with headphones. Don't we sound better? And
sounds
you
so
can
much
work
better.
a microphone. One of the shows we syndicates on before me on Sunday is The Acoustic Storm. And the woman who's the host now, I swear, she practically eats the microphone.
Oh, no.
She just
I don't like to
speaks
do
very,
that.
very softly.
Well,
It's The Acoustic Storm.
hello, hello, hello.
But at least she doesn't talk like this.
Good. I'm glad. Have a good night and have fun.
Thank you. Thank you, Tiff.
If you are enjoying listening to Hidden History of Rock and Roll, please consider becoming a friend of the show on Patreon for only $5 a month. Your support will help deliver more excellent content. Plus, as a member, get your questions answered by the next legendary guest. Thanks for being the best part of the Hidden History of Rock and Roll.
We're back. I am with Howie Huberman. Am I saying that correctly?
You're saying it absolutely perfectly.
Huberman. And we're going to talk today to Howie about some really cool stories. Some of my favorite bands, Guns N' Roses and Poison. How are you today?
I'm doing great. I'm here for the 10th anniversary. We're having a big time, and I'm really happy to be here.
Yeah, it's awesome, and I'm glad to have you. I want to talk about how you first got into the music industry.
It's a long story. You sure you got time to that long story?
We have all the time in the world. I
You
don't
can
have my
edit it,
digital
make it
watch on.
shorter, make it longer, and stretch it out, do whatever you want.
We have all kinds of time.
Well, it's kind of funny because the person that introduced me to you right now is a guy named Tommy Nast.
Tommy Nast.
And Tommy Nast and I grew up in Rochester, New York, and we actually met at the Orange Monkey, which is a small club down there. But at that small club, we did bands, and I met for the first time, which I wound up working with, Cheap Trick and bands like that. And Tommy had a band he was managing. We actually used to do things like crazy stuff like wet t-shirt contests there and everything else.
Who
And
wouldn't?
I had my carte blanche there at age 19 because I had a music store, a guitar shop down the street that did vintage guitars. Before really vintage guitars were vintage guitars, they were just damn used
They
guitars.
were just guitars.
People wanted them, but they weren't willing to pay for them as a vintage guitar. They wanted to pay for them as a used guitar.
Right.
But anyways, we both moved out here to California. I moved out here in 1978. I moved out here to work for a band called Van Halen.
Just
And
a little band
that
called Van Halen.
Yeah, it didn't work. They wanted to pay me $150 a week, and I was making quite a bit more in Rochester, New York, owning a guitar shop. So what I did is I opened up another couple guitar shops down here. The first one being a guitar shop on Sunset with like no name at all. We didn't need a name. We had 300 square foot. We'd bring 150 guitars out in the street in the morning, and the Japanese people would come here and buy all 150 guitars, and I put the money in my pocket. On to the next day.
Wow.
But then I started on Sunset with a place called Guitars R Us, and Guitars R Us was pretty famous. We were the first real vintage guitar shop in Hollywood that were doing business. We used to have on a daily basis everywhere from George Harrison to whatever. I mean, back then we had Saul Hudson, who became Slash, of course.
Wow.
We had anybody who was everyone came down here. Even Chrissy Hine would bring a guy, a left-handed player that bought a left-handed telly named John McEnroe.
Oh.
And if you're a tennis guy, you know who John McEnroe was. We had a
Yeah.
lot of fun back then.
I think so.
But my career changed in about 81 when I had a friend of mine who left a band called Cheap Trick. His name was Tom Peterson. He came to me and he said, "Hey, I need a manager." And what he really meant is, "Hey, you got a lot of money. Can you give me some money so I can pay my bills?" I said, "Sure, because that's what it takes. I'm there."
I'm in.
And I started with that. Didn't work out too good. It was with his wife. It was on a little-known label called Enigma.
I know
And
that.
he wound up saying, "You're such a first-time manager. I want you to bring this other guy in and split management with him." He goes, "Well, I got $10,000 and if he gives me $5,000, I'll probably split." He goes, No, he's got no money.
Oh.
I go, "Well, he doesn't even have anything. What is he supplying?" He goes, "Well, you're not that well known, and we're on a label." This and well, flashback to like a year later, the bass player for that band was a guy named Julian Raymond, and Julian Raymond came to me and he goes, "Hey, we like what you're doing with Tom, but we want you to do it with us. I want you to hear the band." I heard the band. They were called Bang Bang. They were great. They're really good. And I said, "Okay, what do you want me to do?" He goes, "We want you to manage the band," which apparently was, "I want you to invest money in the band," which I did, a lot of money.
Okay.
We got signed to a Epic Records, which is a much bigger label than Enigma. And the album really went nowhere, but I met a lot of good people. I met Robert Margoloff. Julian Raymond at the time was the singer of the band. Now he's more known for, he's won a couple Grammys. He's won a Golden Globe for the Glenn Campbell story, along with
that was good.
Oh, he's a big guy.
That
he's
was
a big
great.
player in Nashville right now.
Yeah.
He runs the division, which used to be rock and roll for Big Machine, and they got mostly country artists now. But then in 1985, I had a girl that was doing shows with me on the Strip at the Whiskey and the Roxy named Vicki Hamilton. And she said, hey, I can't manage this band anymore. I want to sell this band because I owe $4,000 for this guy. I go, what's the name of the band? She goes, it was Poison.
Yeah.
And I go, well, let me check it out. And I checked it out, and they go, nah, they don't have a lot of talent. They got some cool songs. The people seem to like them.
Yeah.
And I go, okay, I'll give you $4,000. Gave her $4,000. Next thing I know is they're on Enigma Records at a $15,000 all-in record deal. They can't afford to get the van out of town to do their first show, and I invest 6 figures in the band.
Oh my God.
Which was great, because locally we're now getting $15,000 a night, but outside of LA we're getting $15 a night. So I wound up with Poison, managing Poison. We had the first album together. It was called Look What the Cat Dragged In, and ironically, it was on Enigma Records. And of course, I kind of got fired from Tom Peterson's band on Enigma because I was a first-time manager. And wouldn't you know it, that Poison became the biggest situation on Enigma Records times 10.
Oh my God.
And I took it to a guy named Tom Wally at Capitol Records, broke it off with Tom Wally with a guy named Peter Paterno. This is all documented. I give it a little horseshit now and then, but it's all documented. And we wound up signing for $175,000, which was an advance, which is a lot more than $15,000. But the key thing is the $15,000 album that Poison first did, Look What the Cat Dragged In, is now sitting at 7 million copies.
Oh my God.
And they had 2 more records after that that sat at 7 million copies. And Bret Michaels can tour on his own right now, but they're getting back for the 40th anniversary next year, 2026, as Poison, all original 4 members.
Really?
Got great stories with Poison, but the best story I got is because I bought Poison for $4,000 for Vicki Hamilton. I had to help her out a little bit, and she brought a band to me, and she said I needed financing and some help with them. I go, let me talk to them. Where are they called? He goes, they're called Guns N' Roses. I go, oh, they're good? Well, come in and see them. I saw them. They were pretty good. They're not great, but they're good. They had good songs, but they had a lot of intestinal fortitude, and they had a lot of guts. So I wound up investing in that band for her and giving them guitars and things like that. In fact, the biggest endorsee of all times right now in the USA or the world is a guy who used to be called Saul Hudson, who you know as Slash.
Right.
He represents Gibson guitars. I'm going to imagine he makes in the millions every year from his endorsement. But my first call was to a guy that was the CEO of Gibson, who I grew up with, just like Tommy Nast, in Rochester, New York. And I said, can I get a half-price guitar as an endorsement for Slash? He goes, no, not at this time. We're kind of not really interested.
What?
I go, okay. So I represented a guitar builder that made guitars exactly like the old Gibson Les Pauls, which back then they were worth about $100,000 each. His name was Max. He since then has passed away. Rest in peace. But I represented him since 1979. I gave him 2 of my Max guitars, and he became known for them. They weren't Gibsons. They were made by Max.
Okay.
Now Gibson decides, hey, Slash is a big name. We want him as an endorsee, and they did a deal. They've probably got 16 models of Slashes out there. They even do his physical merchandising of T-shirts and everything else, which is cool, because Slash is a great guy. He's a great guitar player.
Yeah.
He's a very well-known talent.
Right.
And I got paid back in full. The original check when they signed from Geffen Records went to Vicki Hamilton. I won't tell you the exact price.
Okay.
But I will tell you whatever money I loaned to Guns N' Roses got paid back to me right away.
Wow.
So, and I'm still friends with every single one of them to this day. And even I went about 7 years ago to do a movie with a guy named James Franco, who had Rabbit Bandini, which I was tied in at the time with Rabbit Bandina. I wound up getting the rights to Appetite for Destruction at not a low price, but an obtainable price. I was partnered up with a guy named James Keach, who, ironically, I wound up working with his son, which is Jane Seymour's son, too. They were twins. They were named after Johnny Cash. In fact, you'd know a Biotopic, which was at the time the biggest Biotopic, Walk the Line, which won some awards. And I'm all ready to do this music biotopic on Guns N' Roses, bought from Mark Cantor from Cantor's Things, who grew up with Slash at Fairfax High School.
Right.
And everything was in place. There's only one problem. James Franco decided to go with his then-again girlfriend, Lana Del Rey, to visit a Guns N' Roses show, which wasn't Guns N' Roses. It was just Axl. And Axl didn't even take audience with both of them. He embarrassed James. And James called me the next day and goes, I'm out. I don't want to do this.
Oh, my God.
So now I'm sitting there with $23 million of funding.
Oh, my God.
With no project to do, because I'm not going to tell, hey, if you're not going to do it, I'll do it on my own. I couldn't do that.
Right.
Because I got to where I got using James Franco's name. I got the money, but it was James Franco's name that helped me do it.
Wow.
So we never did the movie.
Oh.
And that's my Poison and kind of Guns N' Roses story.
Well, now you got to hit me with some Van Halen stories.
Well, the Van Halen story, I came to work for them. I went up on stage. I got offered $150 a week to work for the band. I go, $150 a week? I go, I came and live in Rochester, New York. How am I going to live in L.A. with $150 a week? So I started another guitar store. That was 78. And I became friends with Eddie. And, you know, the rest of the band, on and off, I've done a little business with, but I was always friends with Eddie.
Yeah.
On again, off again, knowing him, and even stopped me with this little red bathtub Porsche one day to complete a conversation we started 2 years prior to that.
Oh, my God.
Who knew Eddie had that kind of a memory?
Wow.
I have a great memory. I've got a photographic memory,
right,
which I get along real fine with, but sometimes I forget to put the film in, if you know what I'm saying.
Yeah, I do know what you're saying.
But he stopped me and he
he
started a conversation from 2 years ago, telling me why he sued Grover Jackson from Jackson Charvel, which I was involved with. I was a funder for that too.
Oh, my God.
And he had some good reasons, but all I could think of is, how could he remember a conversation from 2 years back?
Wow.
And started verbatim that day.
It was like
Pretty crazy.
it was no time in between.
Yeah, it was like it was yesterday, right? Yeah, exactly.
I've always heard that Eddie was a good guy.
Great guy. Great guy.
Always heard that, and always wanted to.
And Mike Savanovich, which was Mike Valente, he was a great guy too. I hardly knew Alex, and Dave, I didn't kind of get along with. I kind of knew when, I knew Sammy Hagar a little bit. So when he joined the band, I was kind of like into it, and they did real good together. And, Mick Jones from Foreigner, who I was involved with,
Yeah.
Lou Graham's from Rochester, New York. Ironically, it's 2 degrees separation on me from anything you want to think about in your life, including Trump. So it's pretty weird. I know, it's pretty weird, but true.
Wow, that's crazy. Well, thank you so much for bringing your stories to me.
I appreciate the opportunity to do this, and if you ever need me again, I'm available, because I'm doing absolutely nothing right now.
Well, I would love to have you.
Sounds
We're in Sherman Oaks. Come on by, or we can do it on the phone. I would love to have you come on over.
I have many houses in Sherman Oaks, even though I don't live there, and if anytime you need me, it's easy to get a hold of me.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me.
Awesome.
Great. Bye.
Hello and welcome to Hidden History of Rock and Roll. Today, I am talking to
Andy Gold.
And he is here to talk about his time in the music industry. So can you tell everyone how you got started in the music industry?
Yeah, it's a long time now, about when dinosaurs roamed the earth. I was working actually for Chapel Music, and I was delivering some sheet music to a very famous record producer, and I realized that they could use someone to kind of make tea and run the office.
And where was this?
And that was George Martin and the Beatles.
Oh, well, go ahead.
So
we're in London.
We're in London. It's 1969. And I got a job working for George, and, obviously he was still producing the Beatles. It was kind of coming to an end. But it was an incredible way of getting an education in the music business.
Right.
George was the ultimate gentleman. And there'd be crazy, little things that would happen where he would go, can you do some filing for me? And I'm like, yeah. It's like, does all my loving come before all you need is love? It's like doing, literally
tedious.
putting tapes in order.
Right.
And it was, And also at the same company was the guy that produced Manfred Mann and the guy that produced the Hollies.
Oh, wow.
And the guy that produced Tom Jones and Engelbert Humperdinck. So I was working with all this crazy talent. I was just a kid.
Right. How old were you?
Like 15.
Oh.
Like making tea.
Wow.
You know, what we call in England a tea boy, which is a very, like it's a cross between an intern and a mailroom guy. In England, you have to know how to make a good cup of tea.
Okay.
So it's not T-Boy T like the rappers. It's T-Boy T-E-A.
TEA.
So
That's
we
funny.
had, it was crazy. And
Oh, my
then,
God.
you know, that started me off in 50 plus years of the music business.
And you have any stories about the Beatles that you can share with the audience?
I mean, I have more stories about George and, you know, how his process was.
I would love it.
And, you know, just how he you know, because, you know, he was a sort of classically trained musician. And I didn't see a lot of it, but what I saw was enough to realize that he, you know, there's a lot of people that claim to be the fifth Beatle. He was the fifth Beatle.
Okay.
He really, you know, when somebody like Paul would go, I heard this instrument last night on a classical piece, he would go, that's an oboe.
Oh.
And, you know, sure enough, an oboe would be on a Beatles record the
Right.
next time, you know. So
Wow.
it was amazing. And then after I got out of working, you know, I got out of that job, I got headhunted to New York by a guy called Walter Yetnikoff, who needed an English guy working for CBS Records,
Okay.
because the big thing in that time was punk and new wave, and a lot of those bands were from England, and they wanted another limey, you know, who could talk the language. And so
Interpreter.
And then I realized I didn't want to work for the record labels and started managing. I worked for Kool and the Gang,
Oh, that's incredible.
and then had this crazy time where my partner and I went down to Texas and saw Pantera.
Oh, yeah.
And we signed Pantera, then White Zombie and Rob Zombie and Linkin Park and Guns N' Roses and a lot of heavy metal.
What stories do you have about Linkin Park? That's one of our favorite bands.
Well, Linkin Park was, you know, they weren't Linkin Park. They were a band called Hybrid Theory. Actually, they were a band even before Hybrid Theory. And most record labels passed on them.
Oh,
Like literally, like any good band.
right.
This has happened
It
a
happened.
lot to, you know, Beyonce and loads of people. They, you know, people pass on good bands because they don't know, you know, nobody knows nothing.
Right.
And, you know, a lot of people passed on Linkin Park, and then we got a really, really crappy record deal at Warner's. But the kid at Warner's, Jeff Blue, was like, I know this band's going to be a hit. So,
I know Jeff Blue.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so we went there. This is when my partner at the time was a guy called Rob McDermott.
Okay.
And he was really he believed it. Even I, you know, would go to some of the gigs and there'd be like 25 people at a gig. And I'm like, are you really sure that this is going to happen?
Right. They're one of our favorite bands.
And then it went kaboom, you know,
Yeah.
just like crazy.
What was it that catapulted them?
You know, I think they always had really good melodies.
Mm-hmm.
There was a whole bunch of rap stuff, which I tend to downplay a little bit, because when Chester came in, he had this incredible voice.
Yeah.
He had a voice that was a voice for the ages.
Right.
You know, it's such a shame
Yeah.
that he did not, you know, like Chris Cornell and like a few others, did not stick around
Yeah.
to become the older voice. You know, that's what I always said about John Lennon. It's like my view of his assassination was, I feel bad. Of course, you feel bad for the family, but I always feel bad for me, because, boy, wouldn't it have been great to have John Lennon around to talk about what's going on right now?
Yes.
And his view,
Yes.
if he at such a young age could write "All You Need Is Love" and imagine what he might have written at 70 years old.
Insanity.
And I
would've
always
been
feel
insane.
like we got cheated out of it, even though, of course, you know, you got to feel for the family first.
Yeah.
But,
Yeah.
And that's the same with Chester. Jesus, can you imagine what he could have been singing about?
He was incredible.
You know, and even now, you know, that they're out there with a new singer.
Yes.
And she's really, really good, but she doesn't have. It's not the same,
It's
and
something.
it's not against her.
No.
She was put in a situation that she could only draw. She could never win.
She's good, and
She's
playing.
really good.
They're playing this weekend, I believe.
Yes, they are. Yeah,
Yeah, and my boyfriend's daughter is going to see them.
and it's great. I love it.
She loves them. Absolutely
And
loves them.
I love that, you know, these bands, like another band of mine, Pantera, are still playing, even though the heart and soul of Pantera was Dimebag and Vinny.
Right.
And I can't really see it. You know, it kind of breaks my heart a little.
Right. I love
Um,
Pantera.
Yeah, they're incredible.
The drumming was incredible.
Yeah, I mean, Vinny was one of the great drummers. You know, Dimebag Darrell was, you know,
Right.
one of the great guitar players.
Insane guitar players.
You know,
Yeah.
and spoke so much to the history of rock and roll.
Right.
You know, that if you're in a club somewhere or a venue somewhere and you hear Walk or one of their big songs, it's like,
Yeah.
that's Pantera.
You know exactly who they are. And
And then out of Pantera, I found this wonderful guy called Rob Zombie, who was in a band called White Zombie.
Mm-hmm.
And he had such a vision for himself. He knew he wanted to be in the music business and in the film business. So I managed him. I produced all of his movies. And,
what was he like?
you know, he's completely... he's completely different than what you think. When you see him walking in, you go, oh, this looks like, you know, Charles Manson.
Yeah.
But you couldn't be more wrong. A, you know, really gentle, cool guy. Never drank, never did a drug. Was with the same gal, with Sherry Zombie, for 30 plus years, maybe longer now. I love working with Rob because he always knew what he wanted. You know, he had a very clear vision.
Yeah.
And because he didn't get bogged down with sex, drugs, and rock and roll, he did really, really, really well.
That's
you know,
smart.
and he's his movies. You know, these movies that we made together, everyone thought were like so crazy, like House of 1,000 Corpses and Devil's Rejects. I now see them on HBO in the middle of the afternoon.
Oh,
you
really?
know? Yeah.
God.
Who knew?
That's funny.
And
I love Rob Zombie.
then I, you know, still do Biohazard.
Mm-hmm.
There's a big, you know, hardcore heavy metal band from New York. And I got this crazy yacht rock band called Yachtly Crew.
I've heard of them.
And it's going crazy. I saw this band at the Viper Room. I just knew there was something special about them. Now we just did, you know, 3,000 people in down in Temecula. We're playing Bourbon and Beyond, the big rock festival this weekend.
I'm going to have to cut it short because they're getting ready to make an announcement.
But you can do that.
I am so thrilled to have you on the show. I would love to have you on the show again. And
Yeah, you call me anytime.
I'm going to give you my card. We're going to get it together.
We should do one last thing. I got a new movie coming called Pandemic.
Oh,
coming out in
Good one.
the early next year. So go out and see Pandemic. Listen to Yachtly Crew. Diane Warren just wrote a song for us.
Diane Warren is the best.
She wrote a song for Yachtly called Pain of Losing You. It's top 20 in Billboard.
Oh, that's fabulous.
But
Thank
that's
you
it.
so much.
Speak soon.
Hello, we are live at the Music Industry Reunion. It's the 10th annual Music Industry Reunion tonight. And tonight I have with us Michael Abramson. We're going to talk to him. So Michael, where did you start? How did you get into the music industry?
Dear God, Tiffany.
What?
I think I'm going to tilt the table.
Don't tilt the
over.
table. No. So where did you start? What city?
I started in rock and roll bands. I was the lead singer in 3 different rock and roll bands. We had records out on Liberty, a now defunct label. We were managed by the Fifth Dimension. And it came a time after 7.5 years of being on the road and being close to, quote, making it, and just close, but no cigar. Then I decided I wanted to go into the other side. So I took a break, and when I made that decision, I called upon a friend of mine who used to book my band when I was in school down at WVU down in West Virginia. And his name was Tom Cousin. And I said, Tommy, I'm thinking about getting into the biz. What do I got to do? He said, well, you just can't think you're going to do it and just do it. You know, he said, why don't you come down to my office at 1133 Avenue Americas at RCA and kind of listen to what I do. He was the head of album promotion. And I was living out in Flushing, New York. And I used to take the number 7 train every morning and go to 1133 Avenue of the Americas and sit in his office and listen to half of a conversation, and that's until he would put it on speaker. And I listened to the way he promoted, the way he talked about artists, the passion that he had. And I said, shit, I can do that. You know, I love this. I love music.
Yeah.
And I said, Tom, I really think I can do this. And he said, just trust me. Yeah, famous last word. Just trust me. I said, okay. He said, here, in the meantime, he said, you have a turntable? I said, yeah, I got a turntable. And he loaded me up with RCA product. David Bowie, okay, Henry Mancini. I mean, it went from the breadth of the product that they had. And I said, okay, I took stuff home. And I said, this is good shit. This is good stuff. The Rise and Fall of Ziggy Stardust. I said, I can get this right. You have to do that. You have to put this on the air. I can do this. I waited 8 months in his office. And he said, I got the job for you. I said, where? He said, you're going to Cleveland. I said, what the fuck am I going to do in Cleveland? You know? He said, you have no idea what I'm doing for you. I said, no, I don't. He said, Cleveland is the epicenter of rock and roll. He said, there are such important stations there that if you get our records played on those stations, marvelous things can happen. I said, okay. He says, you're going to replace a guy named Chuck Dembrak, who's being made regional, and you'll live with him at his place for a few weeks, and he'll break you in. I said, hey, I don't need him breaking in. I can do this. He said, he'll break you in. He knows his stuff. So I went to Cleveland. I almost killed myself on the way there. I wrecked a car.
Oh, God.
And I ended up in Euclid, Ohio, in the Watergate Apartments is where I lived.
Get out.
At the time of Watergate.
Oh,
I swear
my
to God.
gosh.
And ironically, I found out months later that the program director of Wixie 1260, the #1 top 40 station in the country, lived in that building.
Oh,
His
my
name was Chuck Dunaway.
Oh, my gosh.
I said, I will find him. I will seek him out. Anyhow, so Chuck taught me things that I never knew. He taught me I had to keep a book, and he would take me to stations like 6 o'clock in the morning when the guy got off the air. He said, this fella likes coffee with cream, no sugar. He likes a specific kind of Dunkin' Donuts. And he said, you have that waiting for him when he gets off his shift. I said, what? He said, you take care of people, they'll take care of you. And you have to do that. So I wrote it down in my book and the guy's name and everything. And then we go to another station, and it would be an R&B station. And I go, wait a minute. I went to rock and roll. What's going on here? He said, you're into music. You're into everything. I said, how do you do that? He said, look in my trunk. I said, what's in the trunk? And there was a crate, like an old Apple crate.
Right.
With dividers, pop, rock, country, R&B, classical. And he said, you will go to every one of those stations. I said, I don't know if I'm doing the right thing here. This is crazy.
Right.
But in doing that, before they had regional specialists, we learned, my group of people that I broke into the business with, we learned at that time how the business really worked, the business of music, how to promote a record, and how to take care of business, with all these different genres,
right.
which was insane,
right.
To go from, rock, some, WMMS and Cleveland, playing Brian Auger or David Bowie, and then gone to the R&B station playing The Main Ingredient. Then I go to the classical station and I'm playing Iseo Tomita, The Snowflakes Are Dancing, It was just.
You're well versed.
It was. I learned my craft.
Right.
And after, I paid my dues, and after X amount of time, I felt I had a good enough handle on it that I could do it on my own. And he left, and now it was just me, and
Right.
I really liked it. And I broke some records.
And what were those records? Give us a
I
clue.
broke David Bowie in Cleveland with Billy Bass, who was on the air at the time, who I then brought into RCA as the head of R&B promotion. I broke Styx Lady on Wixie.
Right.
That's when I hooked up with Chuck Dunaway and I was making bongs at the time. And I brought him up to my apartment, and I had him on the fireplace. I had about half a dozen these lucite bongs.
Oh, God.
And I said, hey, man, you get high? He said, sure. I said, well, let's break in one of these puppies. And he and I smoked from this bong. I got his ass so toasted.
Oh, God.
Okay. That I took him back up to the apartment, and I must have paid fucking lady for him 25 times until he said, this is a hit. I said, yeah, I'm telling you it's a hit. And Wixie broke the record.
Oh, my God.
So there were a couple. The Main Ingredient, Everybody Plays the Fool. There were some, and I also worked with Waylon and Dolly. That's for another story. That's another story.
Yeah.
That's another story.
We
But
love these stories.
I have been blessed. I have stories I can share with you, Tiffany. Some are just funny and some are X-rated, but they're all like, when you understood how precious a time the golden age of rock and roll was in the 70s, how blessed we were.
Mm-hmm.
Again, I say my crew of people, the guys I work with, like
Right.
JB Brenner tonight. I see JB and the guy who was the lead singer for the Magnificent Men, David Bupp, okay, worked. Are you familiar with the Mag Men?
Yes.
Okay, obviously, they were the first white group to ever play the Apollo.
That's insane.
And Dave Bupp had an incredible voice. He was also a great promotion man, as was JB. So Dave gets regional, JB gets out of sales, and in there, Baltimore, Washington, forget about it. It was fucking locked up. I had these two guys, JB and David, we were like cut from the same cloth. You talk about music, and you're like the hair on your arm, their arms would stand up. You talk about a record that you got excited about, and you say, I want you to listen to this. And their feedback would be like, I can't wait to get out to the station.
Right.
I can't wait to promote this record.
Right.
So that's Bobby Zurich.
Bobby
Z-Man.
Bobby Z. Yeah.
Mike Bone.
Mike Bone is great.
Michael Lenahan.
So many great stories and people.
Dana Jang. I haven't seen Dana. Dana had the best billboard in the history of rock and roll. From KOME,
Yeah.
they had a big billboard that said the "Come" spot on your dial.
Right.
You gotta love that. Come
That's
on,
so great.
And
this is why I'm telling these stories, because it was the greatest age.
it was simply the greatest, and that was. I just am telling you about just getting into the business at RCA.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not telling you about the 7.5 years I spent there,
Right.
or the next move was to Island Records and breaking U2 in this country, and the next move going to Chrysalis with Billy Bass and working together again and breaking Pat Benatar, Debbie Harry, Huey Lewis and the News, Robin Trower. It just was.
The stories are endless.
I love what I do for a living.
Right.
Yeah,
We'll have to do a full show.
Given enough time, I can take you through a few years of some hijinks that,
I've been told that you have some good stories.
Well, look, I'm not alone. You talk to Rap,
Yep.
You talk to, who did you just
Jerry
listen?
Jaffe.
Yes. Jaffe is a mad scientist. Jaffe's brilliant.
Yeah. Yeah.
He's a great record guy, but he's brilliant.
Yes.
Enough for right now. I'll stop.
Well, it was wonderful to talk to you
Tiffany,
and to
it's
get
great.
your take. I love it.
We've threatened to do this for some time.
We have.
And I think it's a good beginning.
I'm so glad we got to talk.
I'm so glad.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right.
Take care.
Bye-bye.
We hope you enjoyed the latest installment of the Hidden History of Rock and Roll. Be sure to like us on Facebook and follow us on all the podcast platforms. Thanks for listening to the Hidden History of Rock and Roll with your host, Tiffany Scott.